to the Alaska on the Go podcast. Aaron Kirkland here, author, travel journalist, and mom, here to share the best kid-friendly adventures in the 49th state with my co-host, James Gaddis.
Hey everybody, just so you know how dedicated we are, it is Memorial Day. It's Monday, it's beautiful out, and we're down in the basement recording the podcast because it's important and we need to get it out this week. So it doesn't matter what day it is, we are going to get it done. And speaking of Memorial Day, a big thank you to all the veterans out there, all the men, all the women who have died in service to our country and to their families. We celebrate and we honor you today.
Did you know that Alaska has more veterans per capita than the rest of the United States?
That we do.
Yeah. So this is a pretty important day. It is also the kickoff, unofficial kickoff to summer. School is out, James, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
It is. I've been counting the days of summer break thus far. We're up to about 4.
Yeah, that's about it.
It feels like it might be more like 7 or 8. Maybe you can double it up, but we're in that phase of summer vacation where they just want to relax the first few days, and then as a parent that gets you thinking, oh my God, we need to figure out some things to do with the kids, because this isn't going to happen every day.
Nope. Can't sleep till noon every day. But fortunately, James Gaddis and the Alaska on the Go podcast are here to help. So last week, day after school let out, James and I and my family visited the funky, charming, and very Alaskan authentic community of Talkeetna, paying a visit to our favorite places, and we have many, and we'll talk about them. But we also sat down with the owner of one of the town's coolest shops, the North Shore Cycle Group, which is a funny name for Alaska, but you're going to hear from owner Sean Teeland, and he's going to explain a little bit, because it's really an interesting place to go. And Sean and his crew are bringing biking to Talkeetna. So, but first, Talkeetna is kind of a funny place. James, what do we know about Talkeetna?
Oh boy. Well, one, that we absolutely love it.
Yeah.
2, that Denali Brewing is there.
That's true.
3, the Roadhouse is there, and they have pancakes the size of your head and amazing cookies and all sorts of stuff. But if you want some actual facts, you should know that there are less than 900 year-round residents. But of course, the town grows exponentially between May and September during the summer tourist season. It's kind of the base camp before you go to base camp.
Yeah, true.
Denali.
Talkeetna is the headquarters for anyone who is climbing Denali, so North America's highest peak. Quick, do you know the elevation?
I don't.
2310.
2310.
There you go. Factoid. So Talkeetna is the place where anyone who's going to climb has to check in with the National Park Service. So that is part of the coolness of town. There's these guys and gals who are going to be climbing around, and they're wandering town, picking up supplies and checking in, and then catching their flights up to base camp. Talkeetna also was was the community for the 1990s show Northern Exposure.
That was Talkeetna.
So they modeled it after Talkeetna. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Did you watch that show?
No.
Oh, I didn't.
No, I mean I knew about
Sicily,
it.
Alaska.
Heard all about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of it. And once you visit,
How about that?
there you go.
Okay, so and I guess it sits on land first settled by ancient Dena'ina Athabascan people some 10,000 years ago. Became a town in 1916 as a district headquarters for the Alaska Railroad. And of course, I mean, if you're from Alaska, you probably know. But if you're from the lower 48, if you're from the outside, Talkeetna. This is the place where the mayor's a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cat.
Because that's how we do things here.
Yeah, formerly Stubbs, may Stubbs rest in peace.
Yes, we love Stubbs.
Lived for 17 years. The current mayor, Denali, we hear a little more aloof.
Yeah, she kind of comes and goes. She's becoming more personable as time goes on.
Okay.
But Stubbs just kind of sat there and had his quiet opinion. But everybody knew about it. I mean, he's made international news. Stubbs did. So we just have to build up to that.
Famous. Not Alaska famous, world famous, and you can find the current mayor Denali over at Nagley store on Main Street.
Yeah,
usually right.
You never know because mayors are busy.
Right, cat things to do.
So it's hard to find a place to buy property in downtown Talkeetna because there's only a couple streets. But did you know, James? Originally, you could buy one of the original town lots, $14.25.
That's it.
That's it per lot.
Man,
There you have it.
that would have been quite the investment.
Oh,
Go
for
back in time.
sure. Yeah. But that's just one of the cool things about towns like Talkeetna is that you can dive into the history of just how important these communities were. So Alaska Railroad, that whole rail belt between Seward and Fairbanks is supremely important. They needed a place for supplies and people, stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. You should go visit.
And talk about a great view down by the river. A great view of Denali, one of the best.
Oh my goodness!
If you're bringing the family and you want,
Yes.
and you just want to take a walk and check it out,
Or you could take a bike ride.
or now a bike ride, or you could take a bike ride.
Yes,
I think we're leading into some biking.
we are. Because that's where we're headed.
That's it. That's what we're doing.
So Talkeetna as a community, the area that it sits on is actually pretty flat. So it's nice to cross-country ski in the winter, but it's also a great place to grab a bicycle and tool around in the summertime or the non-snow seasons. So there's one guy, Sean Thielen, who is committed to, as he says, getting more humans on bikes. Isn't that a cool tagline? I love that.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
He is a cool dude. So anybody, any human, he wants you to get on a bicycle. So when we took our trip to Talkeetna, we made a beeline for his shop, which is right on the railroad tracks as you come into town. It's a log cabin. And talk about what we saw in there, James.
Like everything bike-wise, just old bikes, cool bikes, bikes that help with motors that run on electric.
So, what was the name of that one? The Whizzer.
The Whizzer?
The Whizzer.
Is that what it was?
That was called the Whizzer.
It's an e-bike called the Whizzer.
It was from 1940.
Oh, no.
The Whizzer from 1948.
The Whizzer's the old bike. Okay.
Yeah. And it has a little gas tank, and he started it
Oh,
up.
that sucker. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
Oh, my gosh. So if you go to North Shore Cycle Read, Sean's got all kinds of things you can rent, and we had the chance to interview him and talk a little bit about kind of his goals for Talkeetna, because it's not just to rent bikes or sell bikes, it's to just literally help people find places to go and get kids learning how. And that place was a steady stream of people coming in and going out.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of wants to become. Well, I don't know if he wants to become this, if that's his goal, but he's kind of turning into somewhat of a bit of a biking pioneer up in Talkeetna. I mean, he's got big plans.
Yeah, he really does. And he definitely, and you'll hear in the interview that he definitely credits the whole community for standing behind him, and I think that's super important. But so what we usually do is grab a bike and just haul it up ourselves from our home here in Anchorage and let the kid ride around with his friends. And that's also one of the cool things in Talkeetna. You can just rent a bike and say, hey guys, meet me at the Town Square Park at 5 o'clock. See you later. It's pretty cool. So, shall we listen a little bit to what he has to say?
Yeah. You had a great conversation with him. I was running around taking some awesome video.
Yeah.
Because the shop, I mean, it's bike eye candy. It's just everywhere. It's amazing. But, we had a great discussion.
Okay, so let's listen to Sean, and then James is going to post some of that video. We'll put it up on the AK on the Go Facebook page, and then it'll be at akonthego.com. But this is a really cool story. So let's meet Sean Thielen at North Shore Cycle. Thank you so much. I know this is a busy time of year for you.
It is, yeah. We're just ramping up. The climbers are in town, and the buses have started to arrive full of peoples.
So you are located in this cool log cabin right across the railroad tracks, right near K2 Aviation. So tell me a little bit about how long you've been here and what your goal is, because I know it's not just to rent bikes. You're kind of getting people geared up for an experience.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely more about the experience, and the goal would be to get just as many humans on bicycles as possible. Maybe even say on wheels. It could be tricycle, bicycle, unicycle. Kind of have all of the above offered here. As far as Talkeetna and the shop, we opened last May, the end of last May. We are now creeping up on 1 full year of business, and the community support has just been fabulous. Even just other bike shops around the state, and it's just a really easy place to network of awesome people.
Now, you're the only bike shop here in Talkeetna, right?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. And you rent, sell, but you've got stuff year-round these days, right?
Yes. Yeah, we became a full-line Rossignol dealer, which would be inclusive of classic skis, skate skis, downhill skis, backcountry skis, split boards.
Wow.
children's bicycles, adult bicycles, and electric assist mountain bikes.
So e-mountain bikes.
E-mountain bikes, yeah. And we have all of the above for rent or for sale.
Right on. So the other thing I want to ask you about are these vintage bikes, because right now, so we're standing in a corner of Sean's shop, and I'm looking out at all these high-end, awesome fat bikes, but we're standing next to a purple Schwinn banana seat. What do you call those handlebars? Like the
Eight fingers.
yeah. So if anyone grew up in the 70s like I did, this just makes my eyes light up. So where are all these coming from, and do they actually work?
Yeah, this one specifically is a 1969 Schwinn Stingray Stardust
Stingray!
in the violet color. It would normally come with a wicker basket that had a color matching stripe on it, a little magenta stripe. This one was built specifically for a hardware, like a Moore's Hardware example, back in Minnesota, in Faribault, Minnesota.
Oh my god.
And then that's where you bought it. It was at the local hardware store at the time. And they bought enough where they branded them up for themselves. But yeah, super fun, totally original. I have a small fleet of them here, and in the summer you can rent them and take them around. And we'll also offer some drag races this summer that will be on just these bikes.
Oh, you got to clue us into that, because I totally want to do that. So there is just something about hopping on a bike and cruising around in Talkeetna. The atmosphere here seems to be perfect for that. So talk a little bit about, Talkeetna's funkiness and why you seem to fit in this landscape so well.
Talkeetna is just a special little awesome town full of people that are well traveled and just easygoing and very accepting of everything and everybody, and it's kind of void of a lot of the BS that you find in the rest of the planet. Yeah, it works really good. There's Denali, which, being in the throes of that mountain, it's almost an unexplainable feel that you get daily just knowing you're there. The shadows of Denali are pretty powerful. The landscape here, the diverse landscape, the rivers, all the trails, the excitement about more trails. But really, I moved here for all the people, for sure. Yeah. The kids are amazing here. Such a good group of kids. We had a pile of kids out for our mountain bike camps last year, and it was pretty fun. In the last few days, I've been collecting kids' recorded miles from the last few days. So if they put on so many miles, depending on their age, they got a gift certificate at the shop. So people have been showing up with their filled out paperwork, this week, which is good. Yeah, so I had a bunch of that. And signups are just starting for our mountain bike camps. We got the camps starting as low as 3 years old this year. And then our teenager camp, is going to be more of an adventure-based camp. So we'll finish it with, I'm hoping, an overnighter. We're going to see who the crowd is and where everybody wants to go, but we'll probably do an overnight experience and teach them more about bike packing and just being safe out in the woods when they're out there. So.
Okay, when are these starting?
I believe in June. You can find all of them on our website, which is northshorecyclery.bike.
Gotcha.
And it's under our summer camps. There's camps for adults. There's camps for families out of the Talkeetna area. That'll just be for one weekend, so you can come up, hang out in Talkeetna, dump your kids on us for a couple days of fun and excitement.
I'm kind of ready for that.
Yeah,
that sounds fantastic. All right. So if people want to just rent a bike and cruise around, what are maybe like your top 3 places you send people?
Sure. Talkeetna Lakes Park seems super popular. It's on every app out there as well, but for good reason. It's a gorgeous, nice little flowy trail park. There's hills there if you want them. It's flat if you don't. Feeds to all ages, all abilities. That's a great park. The Ridge Trail system is really fabulous. I do love it because there's usually not as many people up there. It offers a little more difficulty on a ride, which I'm personally looking for at times, and some really amazing views over the river and out to the mountain. And then a third, I like going up the Chase Trail. Just a whole different experience again, There's a lot of connecting trails that aren't on the maps yet. So we're working on getting them on the maps. I'm on the trail board, and we're working on getting them on the maps. But in the meantime, some of them are on our website again, and then come to the shop. We can point you out to wherever.
Okay, so people can rent a bike. They get a helmet. Is that their option, or does that just you get a helmet and?
Yeah, we have every. In
Okay.
fact, when you sign your life away on the waiver,
Right.
you have to sign an additional location if you refuse to wear a helmet.
Oh.
So we are very pro helmet,
Nice.
for sure.
All the parents will love you.
Yeah, right. We also do like seasonal bike rentals. So there's a lot of people that are here for, just transient workers, here
Oh,
for the
right.
summer,
Yeah.
need a way to get around. So we have been buying up a lot of vintage mountain bikes, refurbishing them, and then setting them up for people for seasonal rentals. So a seasonal rental, they show up to the shop, they pick a bike that works for them, anywhere from $150 to $250. They get a bike, they get a lock, it has a rack on it so they can transport stuff, and they get a helmet, and they've got it for 4 months.
4 months.
And they're capable of going on our trails, because that's kind of the goal,
Yeah.
was to give them. Talkeetna's already had this amazing community of
Yeah.
people who are giving people bikes or having things laying around for people to use, but admittedly a lot of them were single speed. They work great around town, but you could never go on the trails with them. So we just wanted to make sure that those people also had the experience to get out on our same trails. Just turn them on to Talkeetna a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Which is an easy sell,
Yeah.
of course.
Now, you may remember this winter, my son and I were headed up to Denali, and, well, we don't own fat bikes, and we weren't really sure if we were ready to jump into that, but we were able to come here, rent one for the weekend, right? So, do people do that?
Yeah, they do that often. We're also setting up. I think we have 2 right now, and we're working on some more. Again, kind of refurbishing up some old, classic, amazing bikes, putting a lot of new accessories on it, and setting up some real bike packing bicycles. So even to the extent if you wanted to go ride maybe the Denali Highway for multiple days, a week, whatever it is, and we would have you set up with all the bags and panniers and extra tools and everything needed for that. So, yeah.
Okay, one last question, because you're the bike evangelist here. Why is biking a great family thing?
Sure. So first, I want to say I've had a bunch of people that are like, "Oh, thank you for bringing mountain biking to Talkeetna." I so did not bring it here. This is a bike community.
Yes.
What that means to me is that there's people using bicycles for every intended purpose, whether it's for travel, whether it's for exercise or utility, or maybe it's just their work transportation. But families, boy, do I see the families come by. There are multitudes of them that will come by. What's great about it is everybody can kind of stay on pace with each other, and it gives you, all the wonderful things that bikes give you all by yourself. It gives you as a family as well, but you get the fresh air, you get the exercise, you get the freedom. You get to show off to mom and dad what you get to do today, and maybe they get to as well. I have a great example of a bicycle in the back where dad tried to show off, and now it has a wheel that
Not
looks
so much.
sideways. Yep. But it was a good experience, and
Yeah.
those kids are not going to forget that
Never.
wheel that looks a lot more like a fresh taco.
Oh,
You know?
gosh.
Yeah, right. But yeah, cycling with the families, I've seen it as a coach and as somebody involved in camps where you get the kids really engaged and excited about it. That brings back the parents' love for it because, hey, weird, it's just like riding a bicycle. I still know how to do this.
That's a lifelong skill.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it really has brought a lot of families back together in a new way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, this is just so great to be here. This is usually one of our first stops when we come into Talkeetna. So, Sean, thank you so much. I got to find my teenager who's in town with his buddies riding his bike. We just turned him loose. And that's one of my favorite things to do here, too, is this is that kind of community, isn't it? I mean, we can just kind of let them go off. So, all right, James and I are going to shoot some cool video and look at these amazing bicycles. Thank you, Sean. I can't wait to get out and ride.
All right, so as you just heard, Sean, like we mentioned, he's a really cool dude, real passionate about biking, real passionate about Talkeetna, and I think there are sounds like some big things to come if you're a bicycle enthusiast like he is.
I want to take one of his camps.
The camps sound fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're myself included. What happens if you do bust that tire? I don't know. I could
What?
I ride, but not that much. My tires never popped up, so
Yeah,
I haven't
see?
had the opportunity to fix one. But yeah, I would need a little guidance. And if you're a kid, you definitely need a little guidance. I'm kind of like a big kid, so. But yeah, his camps sound really intriguing, really cool.
Yeah, we dig that guy. So So get up to South Keaton, play around there. You can spend a day. We did it in a day. It's not so bad. Two hours and a little bit, 2 hours and change. Or you can spend the night. A bunch of places to spend the night. AKOnthego.com's got a bunch of that stuff, and we'll fill it in there in our show notes. But let's talk next show. We're going to some cool places.
Where are we going? What is next?
We're going to talk about Alaska State Parks. So I am the State Parks Ambassador, my gosh.
Heck yeah.
And that means I get to go see some places, historical sites, recreation areas that folks might not visit. So I am going to take us out. Hopefully I can convince you to come along. We'll go explore some state parks. Some options to get outside with the family, someplace a little bit different. Also, I will be presenting this Thursday night at REI Anchorage at 6:30, talking about public use cabins and campgrounds that fit the family just right. So if you miss it, don't worry. James and I are going to be on our next podcast talking all about state parks, cabins, and campgrounds for some on-location recap.
So you're giving this talk again, that's this Thursday?
Correct.
Which
REI
means-
Anchorage.
Okay. So
The 30th.
I've got to have the podcast done by Wednesday then.
Yes, you do. That's a little inspiration. It's only Monday.
Now I know my deadline. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Get out and take a listen, folks.
Summer's here.
It's a wealth of knowledge. A wealth of knowledge. Are we gonna chat at all about Denali State Park? Did you know, folks, down Lower 48 there is a Denali State Park?
Yeah, so people mix it up all the time.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about that.
It's beautiful.
It's one of my favorite places to camp or stay in the cabin in all of Alaska.
Kasugi Ken. It's
That's
fun
right.
to say too.
Yeah, you can stay there.
Kasugi Ken.
We'll talk about what that means.
Heck yeah. All right.
All right, let's
We
wrap
wrapping
this thing up.
It's Memorial Day. We want to barbecue.
Get outside. Let's go do it.
All right. We've got some Denali Brewing Company beer waiting at the house, by the way.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Happy summer,
Just a
James.
little something, something. Hey, folks. Thanks for listening.
We'll be back next time with the Alaska on the Go podcast. I'm Aaron Kirkland.
I'm James Gaddis.
Keep exploring. Welcome to what is turning out to be an incredibly hot Alaska summer. I'm Aaron Kirkland here with my co-host James Gaddis, recording show number 5 of the Alaska on the Go podcast, the only podcast dedicated to exploring Alaska with kids. James and I have got the tricks, the tips, and the special places to make your time in the 49th state a great one. James and I thought we would talk about Alaska State Parks today.
Yeah, get out, enjoy that sun, and we can officially say heat. It's not warm, it's straight up.
Oh, it's hot.
It's straight up hot. So pack a lot of water, especially if you're bringing the kids. It's always the first question with the little legs, even just 5 to 10 minutes into a hike.
We're not used to
I need
this.
some water. I need a break. Can I have some water? Can I have some water?
Is there any water?
So much
Is
water.
there someplace we can go swimming?
So yeah, we're talking state parks. So many amazing state parks here in Alaska. Some you may not realize are, I think, state parks, but they are. So we've got some expert insight. Honestly, not that Aaron, you aren't expert enough, but you got our expert got expert insight
Yes.
on our state parks.
Yes. So we talked with Wendy Sailors, who's a development specialist for Alaska State Parks. You and I interviewed her, overlooking Cook Inlet.
It's a gorgeous day.
What was the name of that park?
I don't
Resolution
remember.
Park? I don't know.
Is that, yeah, that sounds
So it's
right.
where the Captain Cook statue is. So it was hot, and we didn't want to sit down here in the closet with 3 people. It's hard enough with 2 people. So we said, Wendy, let's go stand outside and do this. So it was a beautiful summer morning, and what better way to talk about our state park? So Wendy has got all the info and intel on some of the Alaska state parks that we know and love, and actually I got to visit some that people don't know about very much. I took that big old road trip a couple weeks ago. So we were able to chat with Wendy. Wendy gave us some very important information. So let's hear what she said. All right, Wendy Sailors with Alaska State Parks, thank you so much for being here today. Tell me a little bit about how you and I became acquainted, because it seems to be working out kind of cool. So what are you and I up to?
Alrighty, so we're up to lots of things. I will start by saying I kind of knew who you were before when I was working in public health with Play Everyday program, and then when I got the job last August with the state parks, I was had in the back of my head we wanted to do some sort of Kids to Parks program, and the former director, who was the director at the time, Ethan Tyler, your friend, also had the same idea. He and I did that a lot, where I was like, hey, I got this idea, and he had the same idea or something super similar, which was great. So since you guys are friends, it kind of worked out great, and I already sort of knew who you were and what you were up to and how you promote families to parks. So he had a great idea to dub you our ambassador, which I loved, and I super appreciate that you're doing that, because we really rely on volunteers and people donating their time and efforts to many Alaska State Parks projects.
Yeah, because it's, there's a lot of park units in the state. How many are there, and where is kind of the core number of them? And I'm assuming it's right here in South Central, right?
Right, so we just did a new inventory, and the new number we have in our pocket is 157 park units. That's broken up by 6 regions, one quote-unquote area, which hopefully will soon be called a region, Kodiak. But the other regions most people know about. We have Wood-Tikchik, which is the largest state park in the nation. Chugach State Park, one of the top 5 largest in the nation, and that's right here in South Central. And then the northern, Prince William Sound, Kachemak Bay is all kind of grouped together. Kenai area, that's all one. What am I missing?
I'm not sure. Is there anything? What's in Southeast? Is there anything Southeast?
Oh yeah, Southeast, of course. Southeast.
Sorry, Southeast.
So anyway, 6 regions and Kodiak, plus Kodiak. And we have over 80 cabins throughout the state as well, which are really great places to visit with families, or by yourself, for that matter, if you just want to get away and get to a public use cabin.
Well, funny you say that, because I just finished this awesome road trip to look at more of the public use cabins, because I'm finding that to be kind of where I am at this station in life. I love the cabins. But the one thing with the cabins, right, is that you kind of have to know when to reserve, how to reserve. There's a strategy here. So talk a little bit about what State Parks is doing to make it a little bit easier, or maybe just less complicated to get a public use cabin, and maybe some recommendations for people.
Right, so I will say a couple things that I do is I oversee social media and any public-facing type of information. So the website was one of the big projects that was dropped on my lap as soon as I was hired. And I'm happy to say that we are getting close to the completion of that. And what we're looking at right now is just making it as easy as possible for people to go to the pages. We created drop-down menus where they can scroll easily and find the information needed for booking cabins, for trail access. We have a really great page that people can go to find out if trails are open, and we keep that updated all the time. We're getting feedback from each region on a regular basis as to what's open. Example being, like, there's fires in the northern region right now, and so one of the cabins is closed, and one trailhead as well. And so we keep that updated. I get messages on Facebook a lot, and I just direct them right to that link. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So that's a really good point. And how? Actually, talk a little bit about. No, you're good. Price-wise, what do these cabins run? Because it's, it kind of runs the gamut. It just depends on where you are.
So right now the cabins are anywhere from $40 to $100,
which is still super reasonable.
Right. And there are minimal amenities, of course. They all have an outhouse, so there's that.
Hey, that's important. Well, okay, so let's talk a little bit about what is in a cabin, because it's kind of this nice bridge between truly car camping and staying in a cabin that has power and heat and all that kind of stuff. So what is in all of them?
Okay, so each cabin actually has their own page. We're working on funneling that to our new website right now, so it's a pretty intricate process. But if you go to Southeast Alaska, you'll see that those cabins are all done, and each cabin has different amenities, but all do have some type of heat. So you want to check that out before you go and see, is it wood heat or is it oil? Propane, thank you.
Yeah.
Gas.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the wrong word. Most of them have some type of a saw, so if there is dead wood, you're encouraged to use dead wood, but not cut down any wood in the area. If there's water in the area, or you need to bring a filter, it'll tell you that, like those sorts of things. But they're very basic cabins. There are bunks, And you need to bring your own bedding, your own sleeping bag, pillow if you like. Bring your own food. Really important thing is to take whatever you bring in back with you. It's actually not. It's not nice to leave food there. People think they're doing a favor to the next users, but really that just invites little varmints. Little
Other
varmints.
visitors we don't want.
And big varmints as well. I was actually at a cabin in Southeast Alaska a couple weeks ago, and somebody left a lot of food. And also a window half open. I was like, hey bear.
No.
Hey bear. Yeah. So just thinking about those kinds of things and planning to bring out what you bring in is super important.
We talked about how much it costs to stay at a public use cabin. What about if you just want to visit one of our state park units for the day? Let's talk about the day use fee.
I'm so glad you asked that question. So if you want to go, if you're visiting and you want to go to a state park where there is a toilet, it's $5 to park.
Is that the criteria?
It is, yeah. There has to be a parking lot and a toilet
I did not know that.
for us to charge. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah, I know. I learn these little tidbits every
That's
once in a while too,
amazing.
just random. So the other option, if you're going to be visiting many parks and you're a resident, is to buy a $50 day use parking pass for all of the state parks that we manage. There are a couple that we have managed by concessionaires, and those might require a different pass. One of those that everybody in the area probably knows about is Eagle River Nature Center. So that is separate from that day use pass. So if that's the one you visit a lot, just know that. Other options, for people who have boats, we have a boat launch pass that's $100 a year, and it is a calendar year. So a lot of people will buy that for their friends or their employees around the holidays.
Yeah, actually, we were selling them at REI together, and that was kind of cool to see all the gifts. So $50 per pass. Where can we get these?
So there's lots of places. The most popular place and common place who sells the most is REI.
Okay.
So REI, but also at all of our state park offices, you can buy one of the passes. We also have them at the Public Information Center. So there is a Fairbanks Public Information Center, an Anchorage Public Information Center, and there are some just random places
Toke.
around. There is one in Toke.
Toke. There's a Public Lands Information Center in Toke and in Ketchikan.
See, now I'm learning.
See?
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, there are some random places you can buy them that just happen to have, but REI really is the easiest place.
So really quick, there is a difference between a Public Land Information Center and a Public Information Center.
True.
Right. So Public
Yes.
Information Center is under the DNR auspice, which we also are under.
Yes. Okay, good point. All right, so you and I are teaming up on some events. We've already had one. We did Kids Parks Day in May, and we're going to hopefully every season, right, we're going to gear up for an event to help families understand different places they can go to and explore in Alaska State Parks. Talk about our next one, which is Labor Day weekend. I'm super excited.
Yeah, so I am too. It was your idea to have it at Bird Creek, which I love. So we're going to be at a cabin on August 31, which is Labor Day weekend. So if you're planning to be in Anchorage or not planning, maybe you should, or in the area. We're going to have a couple different vendors and partners, and our plan is to basically just make it fun to talk about how to get out and camp and how to plan for that with your kids specifically. So it's really about families coming and spending that time together. It's going to be from 12 to 3 is what we have planned. But if we're having fun, we might just keep going. Who knows?
Well, I'm staying at the cabin all weekend, so we could do it. So part of our deal, Wendy, was we're going to set up the cabin so families can see really what it looks like inside of a public use cabin. So they'll know what to bring next time. I'm going to bring all the stuff that we bring and have it all set up. Yeah, cook some food, show everybody what it's like. It's a great cabin right there. It's right next to the Vertiger Trail. So we're going to have a lot of fun. So August 31, put it on your calendar. So Wendy, how can people find out information? What is that holy website?
All right. So on the website, on the homepage, there is a tab at the top called Get Involved. If you go there and go to Families to Parks, we'll have updated information on that. We're planning our winter event at a Klutna area. I already let the ranger know.
Oh, good.
So it's going to happen, yeah.
Awesome.
So look forward to hearing more details about that one, and we're going to nail down a date here pretty soon.
You got it. Wendy, you're the best. Thank you so much for coming early in the morning. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll be sure to look for all of our AK on the Go families on August 31st.
Awesome.
All right, so a great conversation with Wendy Sellers, Alaska State Parks, and again, so many. Some you may know, some you may recognize, some that might be a surprise. And we've collectively been to a bunch. We've just been brainstorming how many. I think Aaron probably beats me. Whatever, but it's not a game. It's not a race.
No, but neither of us have been to Wood Tick Chick, which is way out there in Southwest Alaska. So maybe we should go out there.
All right, next stop.
Yeah. Okay.
Wood Tick Chick.
Wood Tick Chick. It's just
Chick.
fun to say.
But you have been one of your favorites, one of the cooler state parks, Big Delta State Historical Park.
Yeah, so I wanted this summer, once I got to be the Alaska State Parks ambassador, I wanted to try some state park units that I'd never heard of or I'd never visited. And I think the big thing with families is that we maybe don't have the resources to get on a boat or fly into some of these spots. And Wendy, really mentioned some of the more remote ones that you can get away from the crowds. But sometimes you just can't do that, right? So last winter, I was looking at cool places to road trip. I came upon Big Delta State Historical Park, and I had not really heard of that. So it's up by Delta Junction. So also, any of you military families, heads up, it's right there by Fort Greely. So it sits along the Tanana River, which is this muddy, wide, fast-flowing but smooth river that has historically been a way of transportation. It's been kind of an access point for all the gold miners and all kinds of things. So Delta Junction kind of fits into this triangle of transportation for Alaska between Valdez and Fairbanks. So Richardson Highway is a straight shot. So it took me about 5 hours to get there. Maybe a little longer because I took my time. It's just me and the dogs. But Big Delta is about a 10-acre historical treasure box of stuff. So they have all the buildings have been restored by the Delta Historical Society. So James and I are looking at the website right now. So James, there's this big museum that's been renovated. Then they have the big windmill. They have log cabins where people used to live. They have the barn where Rika's Roadhouse, the owner of that, she raised farm animals and kept them all there. But it's beautifully maintained. There's little trails. But the best part was that there's a log cabin, public use cabin you can rent.
Nice.
And they told me that no one ever stays there.
Yeah. They just don't know it's there.
It's just so the State Historical Park itself is open from 9 to 4 daily. So I think people just use it kind of as a rest stop along the way between Valdez and Fairbanks and maybe even Anchorage. So staying overnight, and a lot of them are towing, RVs and stuff, so they don't really feel like they need to stay in the cabin. So, but for those of you who like to stay in Alaska public use cabins, here's the cool thing. Usually you just get a bare bunk and you have to bring your own fuel and all that kind of stuff. But they have electricity in this one.
That's super rare.
Yeah.
Might be the only one. That's crazy. Not the only one, but
pretty
one
close,
of the few.
actually. Yeah. So they also have these wonderful park hosts that manage Rika's Roadhouse, and they have a coffee maker, and they provide you 5 gallons of water. And if anybody who's ever stayed at a public use cabin knows, especially those of you who are at my REI presentation in May, water is the biggest pain in the neck because it's heavy, it's clunky, and kids never realize just how much water they're using, right? So once the park closes, it's just you. So you're just there at this beautiful little historic place. So I brought my stove and my little portable table and beverages and my dogs, and we just kind of sat out there and enjoyed it for a couple days. So it's a great midpoint if you're going to head up to Fairbanks. So that's what I did after that. I went and drove all the way around to Fairbanks, back down the Parks Highway, swung into Denali National Park for a minute or two because that was kind of cool, and then ended up at Kasugi Ken, which is our other favorite state park.
Yeah, it is. That's beautiful views of Denali.
Mm-hmm. So this is Denali State Park, right? Which everybody messes up, but I get it.
Right. Well, for a long time, I didn't realize there even was a Denali State Park.
Right.
It's just the national park. The national park. Well, no. And Kasugi Ken's great because they've got electric hookups, no noisy generators when you're camping.
Right.
It was quite the experience. Huge. What's the word I'm looking for?
The Interpretive Center?
No, the fire pits. That's what I'm looking for.
Brand new
fire pits are huge.
So the whole facility opened in 2016 and to great fanfare.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 3 cabins, which we have not stayed in yet, but they look pretty cool. And it's this really unique partnership between National Park Service and state parks, because there's a national park ranger that's there during the summer who, remember, he came around. Guys want an interpretive?
Yeah.
And then, so there's programs every night. You can swing in for the day. So it was a pretty worthy 6-day road trip to kind of check out some of these places that people don't. Now, I will say, campground-wise with Kasugi Ken, there are only 2 Alaska State Park campgrounds, and I think Wendy alluded to this a little bit. Chena, right downtown, the Chena Wayside, and Kasugi Ken are the only 2 campgrounds you can actually reserve right now.
Okay.
So, because,
busy.
Otherwise you just got to swing in and cross your fingers.
And hope for the best.
Yeah, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Especially when you bring the whole family. So if you can plan ahead. Oh my goodness, if you can plan ahead.
Well, or try to go maybe on a weekday. Or
middle of the week.
if you can go on a Sunday night or a Thursday night. Of course, middle of the week is always better. But with a couple campgrounds being closed because of the spruce bark beetles, they're cutting down all the trees. It's crushing everybody into other places. And with weather like this, everyone wants to go camping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Everybody's out.
Yep. So Wendy alluded to the website dnr.alaska.gov. Don't forget to come to our Families in Parks next event, which is going to be Labor Day weekend out at Bird Creek. We've got the campground, we've got a cabin. We're going to show you what you need to know for spending the fall and winter months in our Alaska State Parks, and it's super easy to get to. We're going to be there all afternoon. We're going to have some fun stuff. We might be cooking up some food. You're going to bring your kids.
What's the date again? Give it to me one more time.
It's the 30th of August. So Labor Day weekend is early this year. So school will have just started, and maybe you'll be looking for stuff to do.
Yes, we'll be back. We're bringing the 18-year-old to college.
Wow.
Freshman year at the end of August, so we're taking a little bit of a road trip. We're going to fly to Seattle and then make our way down to San Francisco.
Now that's going to be an adventure.
Move her in, and then me and the boys will come back a little bit early to get them to school.
Right.
And then Mom's going to stay, and so we'll be around. Yeah, we're definitely going to need something to do.
So the good thing about Bird Creek is that it's right on the Bird to Gird Trail, which is another wonderful way to get out with the kids. You can ride that 11-mile stretch all the way to Girdwood, stop at the brewing company or the bake shop, and ride your way back to the campground.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty excellent.
Love it.
So we got lots of time left to do some camping this summer. Again, make sure you're safe, and no fireworks, no fires of any kind right now, but get out there and enjoy it.
Do it. And, we're going to have more Alaska on the go for you soon. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, or you want us to chat about any specific topic, or you want information or whatever, drop us a line. We're gonna push that you do so on the easiest way, Facebook, because everybody is on Facebook. Most everybody. But do it at the AK on the Go page. Send a message through there.
Yep.
And then for me, if you want to say hello to me for some
Which
weird
of course
reason.
I do.
Right, you do, of course.
Of course.
My wife and I, we recently started a new business. So that's going to be my main point of contact.
Whoa.
James Gaddis Media Strategies.
That's a fancy name.
Yeah. So check it out on Facebook. An easy search. It's just my name, and then Media Strategies. You can send me a message through there. See, we're all about telling stories here in the 49th state. So
That's the best.
Go check it out.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I think we should go outside now.
Yeah, because we are once again recording on a holiday. Last time I think was Memorial Day.
Yeah.
This time it is the 4th of July.
And it's 85 degrees. It's probably 100 degrees in our closet. So we need to go outside and enjoy this beautiful day. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Every time you download a podcast, that just helps us get the word out about how absolutely fantastic is Alaska and children and exploring the 49th state together.
Happy spring break and welcome once again to the Alaska on the Go podcast. It's the first, the only podcast dedicated to exploring the 49th state with kids. I'm Aaron Kirkland here in the Homegrown Studio with my co-host James Gaddis, and this week we are talking springtime in Alaska, where it's only 40 below.
When it's springtime in Alaska, it's 40 below.
James, that's a Johnny Cash song, in case you did not know that.
I'm not a big Johnny Cash fan. I know of Five Below. That's
What?
where everything is $5 or less. Have you been to one of those?
No.
It's always like way better than a dollar store. Well, a dollar store is pretty good too, but
We have a
Five
dollar
Below,
store.
we do.
Oh.
Are things less? Are they a dollar? It's like dollar menus in Alaska. They don't exist because everything costs more.
Maybe it's like the Five and Dime.
Something like that. I don't
Okay.
think I've been to the Five and Dime either.
But hold on, back up. You
Okay.
are not a Johnny Cash fan?
No.
I'm not sure I can share the studio.
I am. There's just certain. There are
Wow.
certain artists I'm afraid to admit that I don't really, truly. I'm not as rabid of a fan as it seems the masses are.
It's the Ring of Fire you just walked through.
The Ring of Fire.
That's it.
Like that, right? I got it.
We gotta work on him.
I know of a few
Okay.
Johnny Cash remakes that I heard after the fact, and somebody
Oh.
said, "Oh, that's a Johnny Cash song." I was like, "Well, I like this version better," which always gets cringes. But
Okay, there's a whole song about springtime in Alaska, and it's 40 below, and it's fantastic. So we'll need to find that for you. And we'll have to work on my co-host James Gaddis, folks, because I'm not sure.
all right. So this is probably a good time then to rein things back in. We're talking spring break. It's
Right now.
It's right now. It's time when families often head out of. We try to oftentimes get to Hawaii. It's a great spot.
Mexico, Arizona.
Get some fun in the sun. But we're here, and in case you are too, we've got an entire show full of great places to take the kids this week. I know we're staying here in town, and so far the only discussion, I won't lie, has been Dave and Buster's at the Diamond Center.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
And you know what? I just said to my wife Tara 2 days ago. She said, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" Because my birthday is on the 9th, and it's like right at the beginning of spring break. And I said, I'd love to get out and go on a really cool hike somewhere, but I don't know because obviously the weather things it can be hit or miss. We can get snow, it can just be ice. It could be cold, it might not be cold. I don't know if we're ready yet, but you're gonna give us some places that I could go on my birthday.
Yeah.
And where we can bring the kiddos, because that's the important thing. They get stuck in the house, and they want to get rid of all that energy in the house, and I don't enjoy that very much.
No. Do they sleep in? Because at least you can do that.
They do, yeah. No getting up at 6 a.m.
Okay.
So that is one of the greater benefits. So where are we? I'm going off track. So, all right. Every now and then you just start yapping. You forget where you were, and then you also forget completely where you were going. Well, let's just talk about the podcast in general before we get to the list.
Right, because this is our second show that we're doing, and so far so good. People have given us some really great feedback, but we need to invite our listeners to become part of our Alaska on the Go podcast, because we can't do this without you folks. This podcast is a pretty special effort. It's the first time anybody has developed something specifically geared towards kids and family. And James and I believe in the power of family travel in Alaska, but we're going to need you to help us grow. So you can sponsor a segment of Alaska on the Go. You can sponsor an entire episode, which would be really cool. But we're here to share your story, just like we like to do about the amazing places and very special people in the last frontier. So if you like what you're hearing today, if you like what you heard last episode, you can email us at alaskaonthego@gmail.com, and we will be super happy to talk.
All right, before we get to the spring break location, speaking of our last podcast, it was about Iditarod 2019, and as we are currently recording this, there is a lady in the lead, and she is a fan favorite, so we're our fingers are crossed that by the time you listen to this, she still is.
Oh my gosh, Allie Zirkle, she has finished second, so runner-up 3 times. This is her year, James. I know it. I feel it.
Yeah, she's in. We just realized because we just started watching it. She's in a Netflix documentary
Called Losers.
Yeah, because she's always so close. It's a documentary about folks that don't, maybe they're professionals, but as a professional, you're supposed to win. I mean, you win. That's what it's all about. And sometimes that's not always the case.
Yeah. So, folks, you need to go to Iditarod.com and check out the standings, because I am so excited for Ali Zirkon. I hope she pulls this off because this has been an amazing race so far. And most mushers are finishing with, or they're halfway through with almost their whole team. I mean, and hasn't been too many scratches. I mean, this has been a really great year.
It's been another fast race.
Yeah.
Okay, spring break, it's on, it's happening now, and there's a lot of Alaska out there to be explored. So where do you want to start, Erin?
Well, I think we should absolutely start right here in our home city of Anchorage because lots of parents are just kind of taking it easy, sleeping in, cooking bacon and pancakes every morning because how many of us actually have time to do that on school mornings? So we're not rushing. And for a lot of families, that's what a break really is. Let's just sleep in and go explore our own wee village of Anchorage. So if you're going to take the kids anywhere in Anchorage, I highly recommend the Anchorage Museum at Rasmussen Center right downtown. So they have a couple new exhibits, but they've also revamped a couple of favorites. So they have a brand new exhibit about food, James. Food in Alaska, which, if you've been here long enough to know there are some foods that Alaskans really, really like. So it is called What, Why, How We Eat. And it's the newest exhibit. It's going to be around for almost a year, I think. And it explores Alaska's food culture, which really is the big thing. Pilot Red, Tang. Those of us who grew up in the 70s, Tang is where it's at. So you think your kids aren't going to dig it, but I can tell you this is really something that they're going to be engaged in. And as adults, it really invites some great conversations with your kids. So it's fascinating stuff. Julia O'Malley, who is one of the best writers Alaska has, she really contributed to this. And there's going to be some hands-on demonstrations, like cultural foods you can try. It's really going to be interesting. So take the kids to it. I think, it's going to be a really, really fun time. But also, remember what used to be called the Imaginarium Discovery Center.
Like the kids. It's like the kids zone.
Yeah, kind of, except there's a lot of adults in there.
Oh, yeah.
So they've switched the name up a little bit. It's just the Discovery Center, although lots of us still call it the Imaginarium. But it has completely been refreshed. So if you think that you know what's in there, think again. So it's opened up again, so you can go in there and do all kinds of science, geology, geography, volcanology, all kinds of things. And, go check out the earthquake exhibit because now that we've had that pretty good shaker, kids are going to be a lot more engaged and they're going to get it.
It resonates a little bit.
Yeah.
I know the boys, they get lost in the now Discovery Center. It's kind of where we always end up. So Jim, come here, let me show you what I did. They love it. And as you mentioned, the adults can kind of get into it too.
Oh, for sure.
I've oftentimes taken up space longer than I should have while small children wait to get their turn.
Well, I like that, you can sit in that swing and pull yourself up. It forced gravity. Gosh, I'm so bad at that. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be learning.
You don't need to reiterate or try to explain.
Okay.
I know there are turtles there. So I keep it simple.
Right.
I like
It's
turtles.
just the turtles.
I like turtles. It's true. I do. It's got a little something for everyone. Plus, I just love being in that museum.
I do too.
They've
Gorgeous.
The big expansion. They've got a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's warm. If anybody has any issues, if they still think it's too cold out for some reason, which it's been mild, and then telling the kids that there's going to be food there. We went to the Governor's Cup the other day.
That's
UAA
right.
against UAF, and really the boys. I mean, they enjoy hockey to an extent, well, not really, but they knew there would be food, and so they were raring to go. Just tell them there's going to be food, and they'll be in the car in no time.
Yeah, and food is centric to our lifestyle, and it's very geographic. You grew up in a different place that I grew up, and every Anchorage is it is the most diverse city in the country. So when you put all of these cultures and traditions together, it's pretty interesting stuff food-wise. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I love the museum. So they open at 10 a.m. It's a great place to take the kids.
Next, you want to go south?
Let's go south
Okay.
because it's gray whale season.
Is it already?
I cannot believe that we are here. So Major Marine Tours has kicked off gray whale tours already. Out of Seward. So they're, I believe, the only of the larger boats to be out there sailing around Resurrection Bay. And you can get out with Major Marine Tours. They've also got a really interesting spring fever package. So if you just want to get out of town for a night or so, They've got a deal where you can stay overnight at the Harbor 360 Hotel, which is owned by them. You get admission to the Alaska Sea Life Center also.
You can go see the octopus.
Yeah, who are crazy cool.
Yeah, we
Oh
had
my
a
gosh.
one-on-one encounter.
That's
Remember?
right. Oh my gosh, that was that same
Yeah,
weekend.
we got
Oh,
Got to touch it.
yeah. So you can go down there, and then you get your 4-hour gray whale cruise. So, now listen to the price here: $111 per person. So that's not bad, James, because when you consider the cruise alone is almost $90 a person.
Oh, all right. So that's 111
Per person.
per person for the whole. So the overnight stay at the Sea Life Center and the cruise. That's crazy. That's
It's
really
great
good.
deal. Get out of town, get down there. But if you don't want to go, maybe for an overnight, or you're not really sure you want to go on a bigger boat, maybe your family's in town. So my favorite small company down in Seward is Seward Ocean Excursions. Just right for smaller groups, or maybe those who want kind of a looser itinerary. At the bigger boats, they have their pattern is set, and that's where they go. But Captain Bixler, good old Captain Bixler McClure, and his awesome small boats can get you up close and personal with all kinds of wild things in Resurrection Bay. Oh my gosh, he posted a video. The orcas are there.
Oh man, I remember seeing. I think it was what do you call them? It's a pod, right? Is it a
Yeah.
pod?
Yep.
There was 3 or 4 of them popped up.
Yep.
Briefly, but it was like seeing a unicorn. Felt like it
Yeah.
was just oh my goodness, there they are.
Exactly.
It's amazing. The gray whales are great, but typically that's from a distance.
And they're not that. It's amazing to see any kind of marine life,
Right.
and they're huge and they're gorgeous. But when you see an orca,
Oh, it is what it is. Yeah,
man,
that's an experience. And the doll porpoise, right?
yep.
They're, I love them because they're so fast and they'll follow the boat. They'll like
play in the wake. Yep.
Oh, and that's why I talk to people about going down, maybe taking the tour, and it's one for some people it's like seen it, done it, but I don't know. I could do it over and over and over. This experience is never the same.
Yeah, and Alaskans, please get that out of your head. Alaska is never the same place twice. So even if you've taken one kind of cruise, take a different kind. Maybe if you've taken a major marine or Kenai Fjords tours, go out with Bixler and Seward Ocean Excursions. It's just going to be a different kind of experience. So really quick, before we move on, James, I need to give some websites for people. So majormarine.com is Major Marine Tours website, and they've got everything you need right there. SewardOceanExcursions.com is Bixler's website. So either one of those are an excellent bet. Do you remember when we went on your first day cruise?
Yeah, I think it was.
You had just gotten
the first. It was within the first 6
Yep.
months, I think.
Yep.
And we went out to do a story,
Mhm.
and it was awesome.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, it was the first time I've been getting to see the names escaping, those big, the fatties that lay along the shore, the
Seal?
the sea lions.
The sea lions. Oh, those big guys.
Those big guys.
The frat boys.
A real simple animal there, and I've seen them 100 times over since. But
It's
I
okay.
couldn't.
He hasn't had enough coffee.
It's no, I have not yet, but we're getting there. But it was great, and the guides are awesome because they give you so much information
Yep.
as you're going that you just get to sit back, relax with a cookie, coffee, and just hang out. And at the very least, you're just out in the bay and you're just soaking it all in. And when the sun is shining, because I've been on a few where it's not. That's typical. It is what it is. But man, when it's shining and you can see on out, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Okay. So, what's that say there? Aaron's pointing things out on the script. We need to get to this one, and we will in just a second. But but it's a great trip.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Get down.
It's not too long. It's not too short.
2.5 hours to Seward. Maybe 4 hours out on a boat. Maybe grab some dinner before you head home if you're making a day trip. Folks, daylight savings time has started. So you're gonna be good to go. Just enjoy the journey.
Enjoy it. And we're on a journey. We're on a journey with you, and we could use your help. We really could. The success of this podcast in many ways will depend on you. Again, as we mentioned earlier, if you'd like to sponsor a segment, sponsor an entire episode, it's gonna take a village to raise this child.
Oh, that's good.
You like that?
That's good.
Our child's just 2. At this point, it's not even 2 episodes old yet. At this point, it's 1.5. It'll be 2 by the time you're done listening to it. So we hope to do many, many more. We have a wealth of information to put out there. This is a lot of fun. It's very. I don't think bare bones. It's very homemade. It's very Alaskan. I mean, you rigged the studio up.
Should we tell them?
Yeah, I don't. It's we're in a small room.
We are.
It might be a closet.
It might be.
It might be a closet.
At one time, it might have been.
It might have, but it might be rigged up with soundproofing elements that range from hard ones to softer ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're making it happen, and again, that's the Alaska spirit right there. You just do it.
That's right.
You take what you've got and you make it happen.
And we are doing it. And we're having a good time. And we hope you guys are having a good time too, because we love to talk about Alaska. And James knows I love to talk about traveling Alaska with kids. So let's finish talking about spring break, because we got a few days to go here.
Yeah. So we've stayed in Anchorage. We have gone south. And what about north? I know there's one location in particular we both love, you especially. But sometimes when you think north, you're just thinking, well, if I go north, it's going to be colder, potentially still snowier. But what do you think?
I think everyone should go north. So I just returned from Denali National Park, where my son and I spent a delightful weekend, a sunny, beautiful weekend up in Denali National Park. Denali does not close, folks, at Labor Day weekend, despite what you might believe. And there is so much going on. But, there's a lot going on between Anchorage and Denali itself. So we like to also stop at Talkeetna. So Talkeetna, my friends at North Shore Cyclery are amazing people right there in town. And they don't close up in the wintertime either. So everyone needs to stop there, rent a fat bike or a pair of skis from Sean. He and his team will set you up. He knows all the great places to explore this wonderful little community. I know you love Talkeetna too, James. And NorthShoreCyclery.bike is their website. So don't try.com. Try NorthShoreCyclery.bike. So before you hit the trails, of course, you need to go to Mountain High Pizza, or Denali Brew Pub, or your favorite, Talkeetna Roadhouse.
Heck yeah, they have pancakes the size of your head.
Your bicycle wheels.
Your bicycle wheels. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So, you can spend a couple hours in Talkeetna. You can spend the night. The community has really amped up their grooming of all the trails. So you can rent a fat bike. Owen and I actually rented them and took them up to Denali with us. So slap that bike on the back of your car. Head north on the Parks Highway from Talkeetna. Maybe you want to stop in Denali State Park. Now, folks, get those two mixed up a lot.
You know what? I think for the longest time I didn't realize that there was a Denali State Park, and that's where we were last summer. We stayed in Denali State Park.
Correct. Kasugi Ken Campground, which was a fabulous experience. We're actually going to do a whole show about Alaska State Parks, but Kasugi Ken is a really amazing spot to see that mountain. Oh my gosh, it's just incredible. So they have 3 gorgeous public use cabins, which are only about 2 years old, so they're still spiffy looking. We love to go up there. You can stay in these. They're dry cabins, but they're in great shape, and got a wood stove with a heat source, and you can have a good time up there. So it's not open for camping, but you can definitely rent those cabins. But hey, you need to get on the Alaska State Parks website, dnr.alaska.gov/parks, because those Kasugi Ken cabins go fast.
Okay. And they're dry. Again, they're dry means there's no running water.
Correct.
I can bring the adult beverages.
You can bring whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah. No, not that kind of dry. Yeah.
You see where my mind immediately goes. What do you mean? It's a dry cabin. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. No, I'm just kidding.
You're good to go, man. You're good to go.
We're good to go. And I love Kasugi Ken. When we stayed there, one of the other great aspects of it is they all have electric plugins.
Oh, yeah.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
There are no generators going.
No.
It was just you could hear crickets if there were crickets there.
In fact, I would recommend, if you at all want to camp in Kasugi Ken, right now, get on the website and make some reservations. So they're one of just a few Alaska State Parks campgrounds that do accept reservations, and that's key because everybody wants to go there. So.
And the view is amazing.
Yeah.
The view. Oh man.
Yeah.
The sunset that we saw that night.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Denali State Park. How about Denali National Park?
The biggie, fabulous for springtime. So the park road that usually
you can drive the first 17 miles, all the way out to Savage River, and then that's where the National Park Service says, no more cars. But in the wintertime, especially this time of year, they plow almost that whole thing so that you can stop at the Mountain Vista day use area, and they've got a whole bunch of trails there. So it gets you into the park a little bit farther than just that entrance area. And beautiful views. You can ski up the park, the rest of the park road, as far as you want to go. Think about that.
Really?
Yep. If you've got the moxie and the experience and the gear, take off.
And enough granola bars and protein bars.
Water, all that kind of stuff. So, or you can just do what Owen and I do. We just park at Mountain Vista and we hop on fat bikes or the skis and just kind of tool around there. Lots and lots of people in there. The dog mushing trails are there. So, did you know that Denali National Park has the only canine ranger rangers?
Do they have little ranger outfits on?
Well, they have their little harnesses.
Okay.
So Denali's sled dog team are big working dogs, and they love visitors.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
Kids would love it. Can you? These all dog friendly? That we've touched on. Well, obviously, you're not going to probably bring your dog, into the Denali Brew Pub, but.
Right. So the interesting thing about any national park actually is that there are definitely restrictions on where you can bring your own personal pets. Usually it's just like in parking lots and the main visitor areas. So personally, that's what I love about the national parks is that the wildlife can do its thing and they don't have to worry about dogs or llamas or whatever people take.
I've seen
emotional support
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
River
Pappy
Nature Center.
Yeah.
And Obi and I were just taking a stroll. It was a beautiful day, and out of not even on the trail, but like through the woods, there's some lady, and then her husband, and then he's pulling on something. And what is that? And then two llamas come out of the woods. I've never seen.
Interesting. So that's a big thing in the lower 48, though. They use them as pack animals, and it's becoming a thing because they'll go forever. But you can't do that in the national park.
Okay. It's a no llama zone.
Plus, you don't want to do that. You want to watch the sled dogs. So go to the sled dog kennels, visit the dogs. You can visit with the backcountry rangers. They love to share information. In the summertime, they put on a whole little dog and pony show. But in the wintertime, these dogs are doing all their work. They patrol the entire park via dog sled, and it's so awesome to see them.
All right.
So yeah, get in there.
Reason.
Yep, Mary Science and Learning Center becomes the HQ during the wintertime. So you can grab some snowshoes in there if you just want to borrow them. And they've got all the information you need about weather and events and trails and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely one of my favorite spots.
All right, we touched on some good stuff. Leave the llama at home. Denali National Park, State Park, Talkeetna. Man, I love Talkeetna. So those are some fantastic spots. And I haven't been up or down at this moment, but I'm already starting to notice a lot of the roads already starting just here in Anchorage to clear up. I know some people take that into account too. What's it going to be like driving through Turning and Pass? You never know.
Right.
It could be hit or miss. But so far, so good.
Yeah, but James, you really just need to get a hold of that Anchorage 511 information. So that's our Department of Transportation's information website, and you can find out like in real time what the road is looking like. A lot of folks will actually take spring break and drive between here and Fairbanks, but you just need to double check.
Okay.
So, and you know what? Fairbanks. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Ice Alaska is going on.
Is that the ice? No, that's the
Yes.
ice carving. Well, it's like a big celebration of.
Yes.
Cold frozen
So
things.
the BP Ice Art Championships are done, but the sculptures are in place, and I was just looking at video and some images from that. Wow. So, pro tip. Going up to Fairbanks, you got to get up to explorefairbanks.com. That's the website for the Visitors Bureau. They'll set you all up with where you want to stay. We like to stay at Pikes, by the way, and they love Alaskans. But go in the evening to see because they light up all of this ice. So imagine these intricate, amazing multi-block sculptures that have been done, and they're backlit with all kind of colored lights. It's so cool.
I mean, that's the best way to see it.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
the daylight's
Yeah.
cool and all, but to have the additional
totally.
lights and the flare.
The flare. And there's also a slide. An ice slide.
Nice.
like
That you go down, or that
Yeah.
liquids go down
No.
into your mouth?
So you know at
Yeah.
the fair when they have those slides, you sit in the little gunny sack thing and you go down the
Mhm.
slide.
Yeah.
So they have that, but it's ice.
Oh my goodness.
It is so much fun. I'll see if I can dig up a video.
Human slime. So that's
Yeah.
big. That's a lot of ice.
Oh yeah, they work really hard on this stuff.
This is legit.
This is a big deal. So they've moved some of the ice activities over to like the Tanana Fairgrounds. So they've done a little bit of reorganizing there, but they've got all the fun stuff to play. They make these little merry-go-round kind of things out of ice. Actually, they look like the teacup ride at
Mhm.
Disneyland, but it's ice, and you get in it and you can spin around. So if you get dizzy, it's not a good thing, but
Right.
if you don't, it's really fun to spin around in a cup made of ice.
That is awesome.
Oh yeah.
All right. There's more to it than I thought.
Yeah. So a lot of people, James, will just fly up for the day.
Okay.
Use your Alaska Airlines miles and
Yeah.
go up.
I don't want to make the drive right now. We were considering it.
Well, it's all day.
8 hours. Right.
Maybe not that long, but
You're slow.
it takes a while, and especially if you got kids, you got to stop because we stop in Tuckhead and eat, and then that's 2 hours, and then we stop again, maybe look at the mountain, and then we stop in Healy. Yeah. So,
Yeah, we're fine.
yeah.
Well, now, maybe in the summer, we'll take the drive.
But it's totally worth it. Get up to Ice Alaska. Wow. If you've not seen, I mean, this is not like the stuff you see at wedding receptions.
Mhm.
These are huge sculptures made out of ice.
Okay.
Yeah. IceAlaska.com, I believe, is the website.
Add it to the list.
That's right. I know.
All right. So many other awesome outdoor options that aren't Dave & Buster's. And if you're going to Dave & Buster's, don't go on Wednesday when we want to go because it's like half off day.
Oh, it is?
Oh, I'm fearing half off during
So,
spring break.
I've
Oh.
never been to Dave & Buster's.
I haven't been to the one here, but I've
Oh.
been to the ones back home that.
What do you do there?
So it's a lot of video games, or it's well, yeah, video games, but they
Okay.
kind of give you tickets because that's where they.
Okay.
You know,
So it's like Chuck E. Cheese for grown-ups.
Sort of. It's like Chuck E. Cheese on steroids.
Okay,
You
gotcha.
know, because some of them have bowling alleys. This one might. I don't know in and out, but bowling alleys, all sorts of stuff, like their own restaurant, a bar. There are some I've seen that have clubs in them. It depends how big they are, but it's a big, semi-expensive playground. And you can get a little
Go do all the other things, and
Go
then
do outside.
maybe if you Oh, hey, one more thing. Alaska Railroad's Easter train tickets just went on sale.
Yes.
So that is going to be April 20th. They sent me 2 messages yesterday, actually, saying, tell people because this is going to sell out. So April 20th, there's 2 departures, one at 10, one at 3. And AlaskaRailroad.com is where you need to go. I highly recommend if you're even at all considering it to go purchase your tickets. Best for kids, probably 7 and under. So the littles love it. But the Easter Bunny's there. There's crafts. There's snacks. You take the train down Turnagain Arm to Indian and come back. It's actually a really nice first train ride experience for kids.
And the Easter Bunny's there, right?
Oh,
No?
he's
Yeah,
totally there.
He's totally there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these sell out fast.
Like within a day or 2.
Back in the TV days, they would come on, but we would schedule them too late, so they'd come on. We're going to talk about it, but so now.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I remember that. Yeah. So that's why we're telling you now, folks. The Easter train, get on there. Alaska Railroad special event trains have been wildly popular with families. So very excited to be able to do that. I can't believe we're hitting spring already. This is crazy.
I know we were just complaining that it's cold and it's winter and it started and we're losing daylight and now we're picking it up by 6 minutes a day.
Heck yeah.
I'm starting to see, I saw little patches of asphalt on our own street. It's very exciting stuff. But Easter's on the 21st of April.
It's late this
That's
year.
crazy.
That's right. It's very late this year, which means everyone's not quite on their calendars.
I'm all a mess
Everything.
now.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Fat Tuesday was just last week.
Right.
So now we're here.
All right.
It's almost time to talk summer.